Good morning. Good morning. It's time for Thriving Thursdays. I'm your host, Marquise Martin Hayes. And for me, it's Kobe month. I want to honor Kobe Bryant this month just as a great leader, someone, yes, flawed without a doubt, but also showed what's possible when the human spirit doesn't give in. And so, mad respect to the Black Mamba. It's a crazy time in America, isn't it? Anyway, today we're going to touch on that a little bit and more. But before every show, I love to talk about this skin of mine that I'm constantly working on because of Rodan and Fields. I was a man who all I used was witch hazel. Why? Because it helped get rid of these razor bumps, but it left me dry, it was inconsistent, and my skin didn't glow like it does now. So I just love sharing with you that I'm a Rodan and Fields consultant because I'm a Rodan and Fields client. And I believe in the product. If you're interested in learning more about Rodan and Fields and really improving your skin, getting rid of blotches, helping get rid of acne, having softer skin, radiant skin, I'm your guy. We can talk about it. Or if you're looking for a side business, I can help you with that too. Enough about that. It's time for Thriving Thursdays. And we've got a lot to talk about because a lot's happening. Today, I've got Tanjie Brewer on the show. You may have recalled her being on the show this past year. She's fantastic. She's done some things over the last several months to increase her brand stylish and fit. And she's also just a brilliant mind. So that's why I'm having her back so soon. How appropriate with what we're experiencing in our country at this time to have a thinker in this conversation so that we can figure out how to thrive nonetheless. So welcome. Let's bring in Tanjie. Hey there, my friend.
Hello, how are you, my friend?
I am well. I'm well and so glad to be awesome. We got our matching colors. Well, yes. I've got Laker gold.
Yes, and we wanted to have some sunshine, right? In the midst
That's true.
So much going on. So we're bringing you the sunshine. You're talking about thriving, Marquise. Yes. And one of the definitions for thrive, it means to continue to really, you're expanding no matter what the circumstance is, right? Or you're continue to go to that next level despite what's going on around you. That is a true thriver, right?
You're exactly right. And with so many things happening over the last year, I mean, this is our first show of the year. So
right.
Who better to have on than you? Because when I say thinker, that's no disrespect to anyone else that's been on the show ever. But critical thinkers and people who are aware of spirituality and in vibration allows for a more enriched conversation, especially since the last year's been really weird. And of course, the last 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
Right? Like, it's a reflection. It's a reflection is all I'll say at this point. But for you,
yes,
maybe we open up talking about how did you, and again, you know me, this is your dialogue and we'll touch on everything, but I think it would be good to maybe consider starting out just reflecting on the last year and different things that insights you may have had, tools you may have adopted, creative genius that may have showed up, spiritual insights. How did you make it through 2020?
Wow. Yes, Marquise. I think we all have probably asked ourselves that question because it kind of went by so quickly. But yet we were able to have so much time. This isolation. So although it went by, there was still so much time that was on our hands to reflect and to think and to be with ourselves, right? That self reflection and looking at who are you really? Like, what are you presenting to the world on a daily? And how do you allow the circumstances to affect the way that you present to the world? And I think some people were able to say, you know what, despite what's going on, I'm going to look deeper. I'm going to connect with the spiritual, with the purpose. And sometimes when you do go to that space, and I want to say not just sometimes, but a lot of times you silence yourself, there is something that becomes evident when you connect spiritually with God to say, you know, what is it that you really called me to do? And you get really silent and you cut out the noise. And so many people are doing what this month? They're fasting and all of those things. They're taking time to say, let me just cut out everything. Let me just let the flesh go to the side for a moment, and let me just spiritually become in tune with something deeper than what's going on around me. And then you'll find that it's so important to show up at a deeper vibration when there's chaos around you, right? It's like when you realize that you have something powerful to give, and I think we all saw it with voting and all these things, like your voice.
Oh my God, yeah, that too.
Understand that your voice, your purpose, what you give off on a daily, that matters, Marquise. It's huge. And I think for me, I realized that me taking this time to slow down, to silence myself, that there was a higher vibration that I needed to operate on as an individual. Because when we understand who we are as an individual and corporately, we can come together and shake something and make something happen. Does that make sense?
I'm in 100% agreement, but it starts, as you said, with us knowing who we are as individuals in order to be able to come together corporately. When we talk about Western society, I know a lot of focus is on I, and Eastern is we. So shame, shame, family. But in order to have thriving family, we have to be whole.
Yes.
Or we're relying on somebody else to do it. And that doesn't work.
That's very true. I think what you just mentioned is huge. When you rely solely on someone else, and we were taken out of that, right? We had to find God for ourselves because churches were, closed, right? We weren't around family, so we couldn't really, go to family and say, what do you think about this? What do I do? I mean, you were forced to really get more introspective than you have ever before, right? Because really, it's not about everybody else when it comes to your purpose, though it's really, really important to know that we're not just here for ourselves.
Correct.
We're here to bring a deposit in the world, but our purpose is so different from everybody else. And when we understand that, we can make a change when we come together with everybody. Does that make sense? So you have to individually be able to understand, aside from everybody else, aside from the noise, aside from what's going on in the world, what's going on in the news, what's the contribution? And I think so many people get caught up in everything around them, and the chaos pulls them in, and it pulls them away from the heart center.
Yes.
And what your voice matters in spite of everything else that's going on around you.
You're right. It's so crazy because the distraction of the chaos decreases our ability to thrive, and we don't even know it because it's so sensationalized. And I know for me, because I love sociology or the idea of what's going to happen, how does the impact, like I'll easily jump in because I'm curious. And if I'm not taking that time around purpose or spending that alone time, or if I didn't, it makes it difficult to really be in that because you become absorbed in the vacuum of drama. And then you're operating from the space of drama, which has nothing to do with who you are, your contribution. As a matter of fact, I love that you said that, because one of the most frustrating things for me over the last year was interacting with peers who, in a practical sense, were armchair quarterbacks.
Explain.
All they want to do is talk about what's going on. And it's because of this and that. And if they had did this or that, those people, this, that, or the other. And I kept going back to a fundamental question. What are you doing about the situation?
Yes.
How are you involved in the transformation? How are you impacting what needs to happen? Because if we're not talking about how you play a role, then what are we talking about?
Right. And you said people can get sucked in that vacuum, and that vacuum is what? Dust, dirt, all of those things. You know what I mean? And you get sucked into that, then you begin to play in really the filth of other people's thoughts in their mind, without really having your own perspective on things. And my late mother, she would say, think it not strange when things go on. So do we think it's strange that this is happening, that people are showing who they are in the earth? Things happen to challenge us, to show us how much more we need to stand and be who we're supposed to be. So when I see these things going on, Marquise, it doesn't really shock
Right.
surprise me. You know,
Right.
I'm sitting there
Yeah.
going, oh my goodness, you
Yeah.
know, you see it and you're just like, wow, I can't believe that happened. But really, people are people, and we understand that this world is mixed
Yeah.
with those that are, you know, spiritually in tune. We have people who are going to go against the grain. We have people who are
Yeah.
led by other things, right?
Yeah.
Less than the spirit. So why does it surprise us?
Yeah. I'm with you 100% because it's been there all along. We just hadn't been paying attention
Right.
because we've been in the vacuum playing with whatever makes us feel good, whatever suits our boat. Those are the things that we grab out of the ether and hold on to, traditionally speaking. And to your point that this year, that solitude forced a lot of other things to come up. I know for me, one of the major themes that I learned for myself was you don't have faith until things go wrong. Because we do a whole lot of communicating about who we are,
Yeah.
what we believe, and our deity, and all these things.
Mhm.
But it's not until things start really going wrong that you discover, is that really true for you? Do you really believe that? Because now your faith is being tried.
Right.
And it's not until those moments that we get to discover, who am I
Yeah.
really though?
Yes. And the level of your faith.
Yes.
Level of your faith.
Yes.
And
Yes.
well, I think for like, not even that, I think, Marquise, I know that this year for me, this will, I'll say this is a new year now, but
Yes.
2020, that year, not only did it challenge my faith, but it actually exposed the level of my faith in God, because I began to see him move in my life more than ever before. And it was amazing to me that in the spite of everything that was going on, I still began to thrive.
Yes.
So my joy and
Yes.
all that happens, it really is a choice. You know,
Yeah.
you can choose those things. The same thing with understanding that we have the ability to exercise our faith in a greater magnitude. And if we really truly want that faith to be revealed to us in a stronger way, where we see that, hey, it's not about the world around, it's not about what's going on. But Marquise, have you seen the testimony of your level of faith, how that changed your circumstance, being in a place where, or in a environment where it could have really pulled you down? Could you share that?
Yeah. So I've got to discover how much peace matters to me. I got to discover that what I believe about who I am and what I'm creating, I either believe it or I don't.
Yes.
And fortunately, business loss, things change, a whole lot of trauma. I'm still like, and I know where I'm going.
Right.
I'm fixated. I have a level of, you talked about joy. I literally have a level of joy around what I believe. And as the year began to close out, there are business relationships that surfaced almost out of nowhere to help set me up, and started already in 2020 to help set me up for 2021.
Yes.
I learned over the summer in the quietness that I need to go back to school and become a doctor of naturopathy.
Yes.
That process began, the registration process and all that began in 2020. I should be ready to go by spring.
Yay.
A whole other business model and tool kicked in 2020. I had an official meeting last week. I got another one and some things happening today. And I'm looking at 2021 like, ooh,
yeah,
like, oh God, like this could be like life changing, life transforming, life giving in ways that I had been looking for. But because I wasn't quiet enough and trusted the process of it all, I hadn't seen. So I'm elated. I'm ecstatic. I am literally stoked. That's one of my favorite words. I'm stoked about what's already, not what's coming,
right,
already in motion.
Yes.
That's what's different. But
love it.
I remember there was some days where I'm just looking at the walls like, interesting. So what are we gonna do on the show? What are we gonna do on the show? Because I'm like, you remember we talked about this about Joseph and the whole if what you see isn't what you saw, then it's just temporary.
It's just temporary. Yes, which
I've been living that. I've been living that.
That's good, and it shows. And you know, faith without works, as we know, is dead too. So you are putting things in motion. So you're getting their naturopathic degree and all of that. And for me, during this time, I also got another certification. And
Tell us about it.
Yeah. So I've been certified in other nutrition courses and things like that. But of course, as you know, in nutrition, the world is always changing in nutrition. So I always want to stay abreast about like what's current, right? So the more you learn, the more you're going to grow, as we always know. So that's what I did. I wanted to learn more and take a deeper dive in nutrition. So I did that during the isolation in 2021. And then, you know, I also worked on finishing and completing one of my books, and the other book, which is really my baby. It's not even my cookbook. This one other book is really my baby. That is that's being edited now. And so I thought that would be the first book that I was going to come out with, but this cookbook that took on another form because I was working on it for a couple of years, and it's so dynamic. And when I read through what I've done in 2020, I'm just like, wow, that's only God. And it's so incredible that he allows your gifts and your talents to be poured out if you avail yourself to that. And you have done just that. You have to avail yourself to that. And you have to, you know, not be concerned about what's going on, but you have to say, what is it now that I can focus on, even in this time? Because there's a time of hibernation, right? That you're going to now be able to expose whatever it is, just like now, right? To 2021, we were saying you're getting ready to rock it, but 2020 was that hibernation period. So some people either allow their cells to even just kind of stop with the hibernation, right? They just kind of did whatever. They may have just watched, you know, TV and idle time and all of those things, and, you know, and really not took advantage of that time. But I am just excited that there's so many people that I know, so many friends. And if you're watching and you did take advantage of that time, kudos to you, because the things that are going on, it does not ever change what you have been mandated to do. You always are supposed to be operating in your calling despite what's going on. That is not an excuse to just sit still.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting too, for people, I've seen these posts, and then we'll continue because I want you to share your cookbook too. I've seen these posts, good posts.
Yes.
That if you didn't do anything in 2020 and all you did was cry, or that you're okay.
Wow.
Let me say, it is okay. It's not a judgment of you.
Right. That's good. That's good, Marquise.
That's part of the molding process sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes that's required.
You just can't stay there, right?
You just can't stay
there. I think
you don't get to use it as an excuse.
You can't. Right. Because we all go through pain. I was telling someone,
we're all in this.
We all, yes. And we all have those things that we go through in our life. I know people who have lost loved ones due to COVID, right? I have a friend that we were praying. They were married over 50 years, Marquise, and she lost her husband. You know, she was there praying in his bed, on his bedside. And those are the things that you don't understand. And you know what? She wept, she cried, and she said, Tanjie, I've got to carry on his legacy. And that was powerful to me, you know? And, but she did. We cried, you know, I cried.
Sure,
and you have those moments, but we're able to pick ourselves up. But I love that you said that. You gotta, and sometimes, Marquise, there's healing and being introspective, because some people have already gone through so many things, be it whatever's gone on in their life. And then 2020 gave them the ability to just sit still.
Yes.
Like you said, release the emotions, because some people who don't release them, they stay there, and that eats away at their heart. And actually, you know, broken heart syndrome is a real thing. There are people that actually can pass away. Me and this doctor, we got together. We actually did a show on broken heart syndrome. Wow. And if you allow your heart to continue to stay in a place of brokenness, that affects your entire body. And illness can set in.
I know some people who I believe have, well, we know in many cases, particularly in older couples, but I know some young people that I believe died from broken heart syndrome.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I do. I do. but we can more commonly relate to older couples when
Right.
the
So much.
spouse passes,
Hmm.
later the other one, because of broken heart syndrome.
Right. Right.
And even though it may not happen as much when we were younger, there's still a stagnation that I would imagine. I've never studied that before. In fact, you've just introduced me to it that impacts that or could impact that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That
Interesting.
was the mental, that
Yeah.
affects the physical in a
Yeah.
huge way. If we're not mentally sound, then
Which is why we can't stay there.
yeah, that's what we
Feel
can't.
it.
But how do
Feel
people
it.
get out of it? That's the thing. Some people don't know, Marquise, how to get out of it. I mean, we're fortunate,
Yeah.
to have something that we got up, and like you said, no, there's no judgment to say
Right. None.
you're still there.
Yeah.
That's okay, because everybody's time limit in healing is different.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's talk about how you get out of that, Marquise.
Yes.
How do you I think for me, definitely silencing myself and meditating through prayer. I definitely, faith is huge for me.
Yes.
And so you have to, pray and ask God, like, help me with this. Like, there's times that you do have to cry out. And I think that
Absolutely.
when that happens, that puts a demand on the promises and purpose for your life.
Yes.
And you have to watch who you are surrounding yourself with. And
Yes.
sometimes you do have to cut
That's huge.
that off. There are people who dwell in negativity, and that negativity can pull you down.
Yes.
And I think also understanding the gift that you have to present to the world, and understanding that no one can, take that away from you. I don't care what you've been through, no circumstance. And so you have to really say, okay, why am I here? And what do I have to give? And I think that propels you a little more to say, what, I have something greater that's beyond me or this disappointment to stay right here.
Yeah. That's really good, Tanjie. I know for me, you touched on one of them, and that's purpose. Because I have a sense of purpose, that does compel me. So when I find myself stuck, struggling, my first thought, and I cry and have frustration and have to not allow depression to take over me as well, is purpose. Like, who am I first? And then operating from who am I? I didn't know I'd have Thriving Thursdays or the Monday Moment coming back. I didn't know I'd be on video at all. But the sense that it is what it is. So who am I in the space of what it is? That is how, and I know everyone hasn't or may not know how, but that is how I was able to engage. I know that if I stay in sorrow, it's only going to beget more sorrow.
Right.
So that's not helpful for the people in my life, my kids, right? Like the people in my life, the people I love, my relationships. It doesn't work well for me to not be in a space. And I don't mean I have to be happy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I can't live in my head.
Right.
When I've spent time in the past living in my head, and life flew by.
Right.
And since I'm aware that it's because I was living in my head and I was not present with what is. Even if what is makes me cry, then I cry. If what is makes me frustrated, then I'm frustrated. But I'm at least alive in the moment. And while I'm alive in the moment, I can then reflect on, okay, so who am I? What's my purpose? What does that look like? And begin to gravitate, even in minor ways, toward it. When the business was closed, I didn't have any foresight for what was next. It's like, all right, you got a laptop, you got a microphone and a camera.
Right.
Maybe you can use that. And slowly but surely, things begin to evolve. But I think the idea of self-pity was eradicated.
That's awesome. Right. Oh my goodness, that's great. And when you eradicated the self-pity, that allowed you to see more of your self-purpose. And then not only that brought people along your path. And that is what is so great, because when you are operating with expectation and you are that joy, you pull and you attract things to you, whether it be right relationships, it attracts business relationships. When people have to realize that what you think about, you're thankful about, you're expecting to receive. That is what you attract towards you the most.
Yes.
I remember when I used to do these big events, Marquise, I would say, okay, I need a singer for this particular song. I know, I see it in my vision. I would walk out of the house like full of expectation, head up, chin up. I would meet them. I don't care if it's at a salon or whatever. Like I would meet the people that were connected to whatever I was supposed to do. That always has blown me away. So when you are operating truly in your purpose, the resources are always going to be there. And like if it's not, it's just a matter of when, not if, right? If you know, it's a matter of it's going to happen. And you have to understand the process that this is just momentarily. If you're operating in a place that you know God does not have for you to be at, it's just temporary and it's going to change. And knowing that and being in a situation where you've seen things change, it just increases that faith muscle so much more. And for me, Marquise, I'm like, okay, you know what? I got this. You just know that it's going to work out according to what is planned, because all things work together for your good.
And if you really believe that, that's exactly the attitude you have to absorb, attach on, walk out with, head held high, chest out, not in arrogance, but in belief, in true sense of faith that, you know what, I don't understand this moment, but I know that this moment is working for me.
Right.
Because I trust God. I believe. And if I do believe, then what other response could I have other than that?
Right. That belief is huge. Like, do you truly believe? Right. And I think right now, in the climate that's going on right now, you have to believe that there is a purpose behind everything, and everything that's happening will be turned around. And so that goes back to now, what are we going to do about it? What's going to be our contribution? How are we going to be able to see the change that we want? That's just what it is.
It's good. It's really good. I know we're going to get into a little bit about the last 24 hours at some point, but before we jump into that and how we approach that, do you have a cookbook nearby?
I don't have it nearby me.
All right, that's cool. Don't worry about it. I was just curious.
Yeah, so we just did the pre-sales. And it's great because it's not just a cookbook. Marquise is Serving New Life. And I think that it's so important that we all understand the importance of serving life and wherever we are with our talents, right? And so with this cookbook, it gives nutrient-dense recipes. Many people will consider them.
Wait, pause, please, because sometimes you and I, because we're in the industry, we take for granted. Break down what you mean by nutrient-dense, because a lot of people don't know what that means.
So nutrient dense definitely means the level of nutrients in food. So all food is not created equally. So food is measured on what's called an INDI score, right? So food is like higher on the nutrient dense score. Like for example, kale is at the top. It like rates at the top.
It literally is.
It is, as far as nutrient density. And so we know that when we eat food, it sends a message to our body and it releases nutrients like vitamin A, vitamin K, and all of these things that we need, that our body needs to absorb. So some foods are so packed in nutrient density so that it not only has vitamin A, but it has vitamin K, it has fiber, it has so many things that your body needs. And so it is so packed with nutrients. And so it's more nutrient dense than others. And what I realized, Marquise, that people were eating a lot, especially a lot of my clients, they were not eating a lot of nutrient dense foods, and it shows up in their body where they're getting their adipose tissue as far as their weight gain around their midsection. It showed up in also their BMI, their body mass index as well. A lot of people are not where they need to be. They're not at a normal rate. Some people are obese, more obese. And then the very environment of their body is very acidic. And that's where disease thrives, is when your body is very acidic. It's when your body is alkaline. That's when your body is alive and is thriving. There's your word. You know,
That's the word.
thriving. And so
That's
that
the word.
is the purpose of this book. So the recipes actually lets you know what it's serving you. So it's not just giving you just a recipe. It's going to show you what it's serving you.
Okay.
And it's so much information in this cookbook that more than just a cookbook, you're going to get some knowledge. It's going to help you jumpstart your journey to transforming your life and your body.
Okay. So first of all, I love that. And I want to play with that for just a second.
Okay.
What she said in basic English is that you overeat because your body's not satiated, but she's designed a cookbook to take care of the cravings, which are natural and real, but they're indicators of vitamin and nutrient deficiency. She has recipes to help you eat food that is nourished, that is high in those nutrients, so that when you consume that food, the triggers shut off and you don't overeat.
You know what, Marquise, you just made me think about
that's huge.
What a doctor said to me when I was pregnant. So when I was pregnant, he said, I was like, well, actually, it was a woman, but she said, you don't have a lot of cravings because your body is very balanced. Because I was like, I'm not craving the pickles and peanut butter. I'm not craving this. I'm not craving that. But I'm like, you know, I just felt like my body was just even. I wasn't like super hungry. I didn't feel like I wanted to eat the whole kitchen or anything like that.
Yes.
And so to explain to me is that when you're balanced, you just really don't have all those sorts of cravings. Yeah. And so when I began to change my eating habits years and years and years ago, I realized that I was eating more balanced and my tongue began to crave food that was alive and well. So you can actually change the very craving of your taste buds. And that's what this cookbook helps you do.
I hope y'all heard that, because a lot of us need that. And I'm just going to throw in a quick plug. That's why we have the highest death rates with this COVID, because we are literally, statistically, scientifically proven the sickest nation on the planet.
Sad.
Period. And that is why we have to take more precaution. But your cookbook, fortunately, can help us begin to reverse some of the things that the damage that we've done to our bodies.
Right.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And we can't change a lot of things, Marquise, right? We can't change the weather, but what we can change is the very health direction of our life. So you mentioned that there was damage done, but it's not irreparable. And if people can understand that you just start now, it takes your body just few months or whatever to begin to repair, form new cells and all of those things. And so you can really change that.
Yes. Where can they get the cookbook?
They can get it on stylishandfit.com. So that's www.stylishandfit.com. And there it is right there. Stylish and Fit. You can see.
Yes. Stylish and Fit right there. There it is. Matter of fact, edit that just so they know to get it. Yeah. Stylishandfit.com. It's on the screen. I won't touch it.
Yeah.
And they can follow you on the gram too.
Right. Yes. Right.
So, hot topic now. I don't mean to laugh in that sense, but I mean, it is what it is.
Just laugh about, gotta laugh about it.
It is what it is. So, yesterday, in this, okay, so I'm going to preface this with, first of all, I'm a military brat. I appreciate having the freedoms and some of the liberties, but I'm also, like I said, sociology. And like we said before the show, yesterday it wasn't truly surprising.
Right.
Just another reflection of what's always been, unfortunately. For me, this is going to sound wrong, but if you listen to the context, I'm glad yesterday took place, because just like over the last year with Black Lives Matter and other atrocities in our nation, when it's put in front of us and we can no longer hide or make excuses for it, although that's still happening,
right?
It's awakening more people, so we get to have more unity as a result. That's why I'm glad it happened.
More conversation
versus the conversations in our head or in our cliques
The little
nobody else can hear us.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts around what's possible with what has happened and its impact and how we might navigate through it, how we can still thrive? Like, we don't have to make it, it's not that we need to make it positive, because that's part of like accepting what is.
Right.
But as we accept what is, we get to create something new.
Yeah. The big D word for me, something that I think this has tried, issues like this has tried to come up as division, right?
Yes.
Trying to divide
Yes.
the world. And there is, when you realize that the addition of what it is and from both sides and what you bring in, I think that is where we need to be. And for me, it hurts my heart to see such division, and not just, it's really, Marquise, it's not just in races too. We're finding it out in churches and other places. There's so much division of thought.
Yes.
And that's going on around this whole situation with the government and the president. And it's very, very sad, because there's not unity, and that unity is huge to make things happen in the world. So for me, it just grieves my spirit. It grieves my heart. I've had so many people reach out to me. I've had the pictures sent to me on my phone, text messages going off. So many people in group chats talking about the issue, and it stirred up so much. But I definitely heard someone else say, Marquise, that they're glad that it happened, because it revealed what is really going on and exposed the hearts of many. And sometimes that exposure is what you need to see.
Yeah.
That you can know how to direct your prayers, be it whatever. I mean, we just needed to see it. And I'd rather see it and have someone be honest with me than to have people silently keep things there. Let me see it. And now let's see what we can do to just, have action behind this.
Yeah, I love that, because that seeing, as you said, now we can have more dialogue. I already know there'll be buffers put in, isolation, just a small segment. But the reality is, as I posted yesterday, and I got a little bit of flack, this is America. And what I mean by that is guys, this has been happening all along, just not to a group that looks like you or believes like you. And so as a result, we've been distant. It's over there, or there's a reason for it. Versus, no, we're divided in thought. We don't, and have been conditioned to not really think as independent people. Not meaning someone said, so therefore I believe it because it makes sense to me. That's not thinking as an independent person.
Right.
That's really really buying into trend or whatever's being said. And as a result of that, we've not convened, we've not conversed. We have topics like politics that we're not supposed to talk about. Wait, why is that? Since we're free people and we're so advanced, that's something we should be talking about every day.
But people aren't talking about it. They're talking about it in their own sector, right?
Yes.
They're talking about it, in their own groups where it's comfortable.
Where it's comfortable.
Where it's comfortable and safe. And now I think what we're going to see is people are being more vocal about things.
I think so.
See it everywhere, and it needs to happen. We need to have this happen for the change to happen as well. But it shows you that you've got to make sure that you are walking in love, that you're walking in your prayers. I mean, for me, we have to pray for this nation.
Yes.
It's huge.
Yes.
Huge.
We got to pray just to keep our own sanity.
I know.
Not make it personal. Right? Because it will still start with the individual. This nation is the individuals.
It is the individual. And
so
we're there. I have a 5:30 a.m. call that I'm on.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, people are voicing things. There's prayers going on. There's a lot of hurting people in this world, and we're just really not just here just that whole selfish part of it, but we have to figure out, how do we reach out to people? How because there's a lot of people who are really scared. This brings fear on a lot of people, and we can't allow that fear to set in, because that there's no faith. Fear and faith cannot operate in the same place.
Correct.
So you're going to either have faith to
Yes.
believe that we can change this and God
Yes.
can change this, right? As we
Yes.
all come together
Yes.
in prayer, or you're going to be fearful and you're going to talk about what's going to happen. And
Yes.
the words that we speak are important and what we say are important. I heard this minister, they were saying, you know, watch out, the worst things are getting ready to happen, and we haven't seen the worst of it yet, and this and that, and instead of speaking faith, like, where's those words to say, hey, let's not speak fear, but faith.
Oh, and in order to really deal in faith and not fear, is to be honest about what actually is. And that's what I like. A lot of people have been awoken and they're fearing because they have not had a true grasp of what actually is. Because if they had a true grasp of what actually is, it wouldn't have occurred, because we would have been able to deal with it, to work on it, to create something beautiful from it. Now that the isness of it is here, don't be afraid. It's what it is.
Right.
Now let's talk about what we want. How do we create something beautiful so that we don't have to live in fear? Right? Mm-hmm. Like, the only fear that I think has warrant here is if we don't do anything different, more of the same will likely occur. But the opportunity, that's the piece, the opportunity to come together as individuals and create something is in front of us.
Right. It is. It's at our fingertips. And I think we are living in a great time.
We are.
We are, because we've
my gosh, we are.
Has gone on, and now there's a resiliency with people that I'm seeing that is blowing me away. There are people who are triumphing over their situations, and I see so many people, Marquise, that are doing better than they were pre-COVID. I'm talking about financially.
Right? Yes. There are people thriving.
I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is where it's at, and I'm seeing that. And so if we operate there and we begin to look at those things and celebrate those things and try our best to take our eyes off of what, like you said, it is right now, not that we're oblivious to it or anything like that, but we're not going to let that be our focal point.
No.
Right? We can't let that be our focus, our talk every single day. And because what you begin to talk about, I mean, that's fertilizer for growth. You know, if that's all you're talking about, that's what's going to consume your life.
Correct.
If you can celebrate those things, encourage your friends, call them, you know, begin to deposit something good in yourself, work out, you know, get up off the put on something that is motivating to you. So change the atmosphere in your home. Put on some music or some. Call a good friend like Marquise, you know. Or,
don't call me. No, I'm just kidding. No, seriously, really, you do.
My friends, you can call me. So you guys,
I'm teasing.
I know. But you guys do something different and focus on positivity.
You hit the nail on the head. Now's the time for you to show up in your purpose. Now's like how you fit. This is the time to show up. And to your point, nurture that space so you can dance, sing, pray, meditate, write, engage, be present.
There you go. Be present.
Yeah.
Then you'll know what you're to present.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's something that I was saying to someone just about being present. And when you operate there, even when you go out in the world, I don't care if you're at the grocery store, when you're present, like that's where I meet clients. I'm present. I begin to, how can I deposit? I remember I was just standing with this lady and I was looking in her cart and she had all of this meat, like Beyond Burgers and all of this Morning Star and all of this. And she just took a peek, you know, at my cart and she's like, oh, I'm trying to go vegan. But people think vegan is just healthy. They're getting all this meat, but it's full of all this other stuff. It's just disgusting, but just being aware and me looking at her and saying something kind to her. You know, she became one of my clients. And so when we go out and we begin to just be present in every atmosphere, we're going to attract people to us. We're going to know who to speak to. It's going to help you thrive in this world. So being present every single day as much as you can, I think is huge.
That's good. And I love that you were able to talk about how you were present to that moment and you were kind. You were not judgmental.
No.
In a grocery line, and as a result, a new client.
Right.
We never know when it's going to happen, but we do know that if we're not present, if we're attitudinal, if we're frustrated, if we're living in our head, we'll miss those God-given moments of you want more clients? It's this lady right in front of you in the checkout line by just being present.
Just being present. And you mentioned that word frustration. And I've been dealing with my son about that. And I always tell him to go to fuel station because you have to go within. And instead of frustration, fuel station, we say that all the time. He's like, I know, fuel station. So fuel station, when you go there, you have the fuel within you to really dispose or dispel or to go ahead and shut out that frustration that's trying to take over. It's not to say that you can't get frustrated in that moment, but how does some people allow it to consume them? They begin to stop in their tracks. So for example, when he was frustrated, he stopped a project that he was working on. I said, no, you will go back to it. So it took a moment, you dispel, you can make me frustrated for that second, but you go back to it and you do it more incredible than you did it before. We've all lost work. Have you ever lost something that you were working on, a document that you worked hours on?
Yes.
But then you go back to it and it's more incredible than it was before. I've seen those things happen.
Yes.
And so we can't allow frustration to just stop us.
Yeah.
You got to just continue to move forward. But it's
you just gave a really huge key.
Time to thrive, right? Marquise, is a great time to just be, to live on a deeper, higher vibration.
Amen. It's so interesting you say that because that points back to where we started. How did we get through? It's cool to stop, pause, cry, have a breakdown. Right. But once that's over, you get back up, you re-engage, you get back into life. Because otherwise, all we're really doing is taking the baggage, pain, sorrow, frustration, loss of the past with us every single day that doesn't allow us to be present. And that is dangerous. That's why you can't be 6 months in going, I'm still grieving and it's my problem. No. You're carrying dead weight is what you're doing. You're not grieving. You're just living in your past. You're choosing that what happened then is still present right now versus being present with the possibility of who you are.
Wow. That is dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes.
My internet's acting up. I hear you. My internet's acting up, so I hear you a little bit slower. But no worries. I know they heard you.
Yes.
Listen, Tanjie, I love having you on the show. You're one of the most amazing people I know.
That is fantastic, Marquise, because what happens when you're carrying that weight, then you're giving it to other people. They're carrying your own baggage. I think that's why when people go into relationships and they have baggage, Okay.
That's good.
Okay, good.
That's good. If you're carrying dead weight, stay out of a relationship. If you carrying dead weight, stay out of a relationship till you realize that you got to get present. And the beauty of it is, if you get present, the dead weight drops off and you can move forward. But if you're unwilling,
it's been a time
past.
dialoguing.
Whew.
I think we had I know that we had a grand time today, and
Yes.
it's been wonderful.
Yes.
Always a blessing to be on with you too, Marquise. I love the way that you think
Thank
and
you.
you spit the wisdom like only you can. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hold on one second, okay? Hold on one second. Friends, the amazing Tanjie Brew of Stylish and Fit. She offered so much wisdom today. Wisdom on if you're still stuck in 2020, or the effects, I should say, of 2020, how you might be able to get out. She offered how to manage cravings so that you can begin to let your body heal, so that you can begin to let go of weight, so that you can begin to enjoy being present with food, so that you can start feeling the cravings in the sense that you are taking care of them the way you should. She's wrote an amazing cookbook that allows for that and gives you the guidance that I would offer as a coach. She's got it in recipes, so you no longer have to ask me for meals. Check her out. We also tapped in and talked a little bit about personal responsibility and purpose and how those impact where we are in society today. You don't get to get off the hook and say those bad people. Nah, man. You get to show up and say, this is who I am and how I'm going to contribute to the solution. That's your job. That's your truth. That's where your faith gets tested and you get to show up. So get out of your head. Get out of your head. There's nothing there of value in the sense that you need to stay in it. Where life happens is on the outside. And lastly, I don't know if you heard her or not, but she basically said that's why people get into relationships and they don't work. So if you are in a relationship that's not working, don't look at the other person. Ask yourself, what baggage am I holding on to and trying to keep with me in my here and now? The beauty of it is that if you just let the baggage, meaning the past and whatever took place, if you decide now, in this moment, to just be present, like I dropped my water bottle, to just be present, then this stuff no longer counts. It no longer has an effect. It no longer lives because you stop making choices and decisions from that stuff because you're present in your moment. When you're present in your moment, the only thing you need to ask yourself is, what am I supposed to be doing now? How do I contribute to solution now? Who am I? And then live from that space. You want to thrive? I got 2 words. Get present. This is Marquise Martin Hayes. It's been my honor to be with you. See you next week.